What's good, man? It's your boy Juicy J, man. Shout out to Virtual Homework Podcast.
This is the ultimate podcast.
Yeah, it's the ultimate podcast with the ultimate level of enthusiasm. You heard that guy. You heard that guy going,
hold on. I'm going to do this again. This is the ultimate podcast.
Yeah, there we go.
Where you need to be.
This is where I'm
here, right now.
This is the level that we're going to continue to have if we want to get that like YouTube thumbnail clickbait. Like, you got to realize the people...
You got to have explosions, too. Yeah.
The people who do the pog face in every thumbnail, they at least match the energy. They have really shitty content where they're basically saying nothing for 10 minutes.
What's up, guys?
But
Welcome back
they
to
at least
fucking...
It's hard. It's hard. As a podcaster, it makes me want to die every single time I'm excited when I'm not actually excited. So you got to realize
like those people don't have like 9 to 5 jobs, so it's like they're not like soul crushed. So they can just be like,
but it's a Saturday. I guess did you work today?
No, I just had like a fucked up schedule.
None. Okay, you better be extremely excited. I don't pay you to be dull on the podcast. I don't pay you at all.
That I'm gonna pretend Sam is like super abusive against me.
Oh my, yeah. It's gonna be the Dana finally getting out of a toxic relationship with his co-host year. That's 2022. I mean, speaking of toxic, honestly, I feel a little bad, and I also feel like we're gonna be framed in a terrible light because of this. But yes,
what happened?
We did definitely clickbait Pokimane in the previous episode, and it worked out to our advantage. However...
Can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
It's not Pokimane. It's Pokemon.
No.
Her name is, like, people don't really... Everyone says it wrong, and she just never quotes anybody because her name is Iman. It's Pokemon.
I thought she's Gucci Mane's sister.
No. It's Pokemon. It's just that everyone says it wrong.
I just want to say, yes, Pokimane was watching some stuff and she got banned, and I think she's unbanned now, and that drama is past. Because the thing is, now everyone who is like, there's like an actual legitimate misogynistic drama against Pokimane, and we are not misogynists. What is his name? Jay Dillon or whatever?
I think that she's a stupid duty head.
You're not. No, I don't think she's a stupid doo-doo head. I think that she's a legitimately good streamer who happened to maybe not make content that I was up with.
No, so to be honest, I didn't see this whole Jay Dilla drama. Can you actually say what happened to me?
Yes, and I know that people want to hear us talk about the game, and this is by far the least important thing in the world. But essentially, some like streamer was saying like, "Oh, if you watch Pokimane and you think that she's gonna be your boyfriend, let me tell you, you're wrong." And then he like did a hate raid against her, and then like because he did a hate raid, he got like, banned, and then like people were saying like, shit. "Oh, Pokimane saying that he's a misogynist for like telling people that men only watch her because they want to date her." It's like, yeah, he kind of is. And then like basically people were saying that Pokimane sucks, and it's like, no, the whole situation, and it sucks. Anyway,
it sucks.
We want to apologize to
be
Pokimane.
Fair, I think it's very difficult to be like a large female creator on the internet because you just have to deal with like literally incels 24/7.
Pretty much.
If you could see like the messages that people send to them and things like that, it's fucking terrible. And like, yeah, we meme and stuff like that, but like Pokemon is definitely a genuinely fantastic content creator. So
with that out of the way, I do actually want to talk about, before we get into the game, about the scenario we were talking about before where streamers getting banned for watching like legitimately copyrightable TV shows. I realized after our conversation that like Twitch watch parties exist. They literally made a feature so people didn't have to go against DMCA and actually were able to.
Their mentality is that it lowers their viewership because you have to have Amazon Prime. That's why they're not doing it.
Yeah, there's a feature on Twitch called watch parties where anyone with Amazon Prime is able to watch Amazon Prime content with the streamer. And yes, whenever you do a watch party, because not everyone is from the US and not everyone in the US has Prime, there's a significant dip in your viewers. But like the fact of the matter is, like, Twitch is literally giving people legal outs to do this, and people are still too spoiled in order to just make their own content. It's really silly.
I kind of 360'd my view on this. Every streamer should be breaking as many rules as possible, because the first DMCA you get, and none of these people have ever gotten DMCA'd before, is just going to be like a 2-day ban or whatever, and then they get banned for 2 days, and they come back with increased viewership, and they can play off the drama, and they make more money off of it. So just like from a business perspective, it literally makes more money to just like do this,
I guess, until you're the one streamer where they decide to actually like do something bad to. Like, it's like, oh, you know what? Now is the time we decide to, like, I feel like that actually happened with like hot tub streamers where like everyone was getting like 2-day bans, and then all of a sudden like one streamer got a permaban, and it's like, oh, I guess this is over. I guess
Everyone still does it though.
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is you're rolling the dice, and Naruto wasn't even that good of a no, okay. So all I'm saying is you're rolling the dice.
Naruto is like top 3.
Yeah, I'm revising it, don't worry. All I'm saying is you're rolling the dice, and Death Note isn't even worth it to get banned over, because that show kind of sucks after the second half. After the second half, there's no reason to watch the second half of Death Note. It was not worth it. And speaking of Death Note, what did we play this week?
Sick transition, 10 out of 10. So we actually played a game that, for one, it completely surprised me. We played Rez for the Dreamcast. For those who don't know, Rez is a rail shooter created by the same people who created one of my favorite games of all time, Luminous.
Can we go back a little bit, because I know that we both have a lot to say about this, but let me just say, last week I was like, I'm not going to say whatever we played, but we picked a Dreamcast game this week, or I guess this period of 2 weeks. And let me just say, this was a bit of a tumultuous. This was a bit of a difficult saga. My original pick was Space Channel 5 and Space Channel 5 Part 2. I thought we could do a 2-parter episode because we had a lot of time. And
Both games were short.
The issue, even though I'm familiar with Space Channel 5 and I really wanted to play it, is that Dana unfortunately doesn't have a Dreamcast, and Dreamcasts are like $80 right now, and also every single Dreamcast like breaks immediately because they have a terrible like disc reading system that like inherently breaks after a couple years of use. So essentially, Dana had to emulate it, and while he does legally own the copy of the game,
unplayable,
and he ripped the copy of the game and he played it on emulator. Space Channel 5, like a lot of older rhythm games, is imperfect, but is made even more imperfect, as Dana said, unplayable, just due to the fact that there's input delay. Like, explain your experience playing Space Channel 5.
I mean, it's a matter of it's like up, down, and you're like up, miss, and it's just like
yeah, it literally impossible.
It just doesn't
to
feel
get
good.
Stage 1. So I think that we will one day play Space Channel 5 Part 1 and Part 2 at some point, but I don't know how it's gonna work. Maybe I'm gonna like bring a Dreamcast to Dana's house when I see him in like 4 years. We'll see,
and we'll play it.
We'll play it. Yeah, the Space Channel 5 Part 2 is on Steam, but it's only in Japanese. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, which makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like,
but anyway.
But we played Rez, which is kind of a different type of game.
Made by the same guy, though. Space Channel 5.
It is by the same person?
Yeah, Space Channel 5.
So it's made by them and Luminous, which is like one of my like favorite games of all time. And this game reminds me a lot of Luminous. It's a like a musical on-rails shooter. It's not like the hardest game in the world, but everything is like tied to like beats and music. And like when I say like the music in this game is fucking amazing. This game ages pretty fucking well. Like for a Dreamcast game from the original 3D era, it actually looks pretty fucking good.
We got to back up like 75 steps. You're going way too into it. I will say, yeah, it is like a musical rail shooter, but I don't even want to say that it's like musical and that everything goes to the music. I feel like this game, and also Luminous to a certain extent, which is the other game by the developer that's like super well known, is that like it's almost like a generative musical experience. Like, not everything goes to the music, but like whatever you do, they like somehow translate that into like an additional beat that goes with the song that's happening. Like in a certain way, it's like generative in that like it's not perfect. Like sometimes you'll like shoot an enemy and then like it'll be slightly off beat, but it will still go enough to the music that you're kind of jamming along the way.
Yeah, and it's like you can like tap along almost to the music as you're like ba 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 as you're hitting enemies and stuff like that, and you're like jamming along because it's like going like beating to the music and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the way that it works, like when you shoot an enemy, there's like a little bit of a delay until the enemy actually gets killed, and they'll make sure that if you shoot successive enemies, that delay will happen on beat and stuff like that. But it's ironic in that like we love a game with we love two games that are both actually. Did you love this game? Did you like this game?
Oh, I loved this game. This game was like one of my favorites, actually.
I love this game as well, but it's ironic that we love this and Luminous, which have very generative musical elements, and we hated Fuser. Basically, Fuser for the previous generation, right? You gotta mix the beats. You gotta make Can't you do like record scratches in Fuser and like add some like stupid like you could do a lot of stuff in Fuser.
Yeah, but there's like no gameplay in Fuser though.
I don't know. The thing is, the reason why I picked this game, and I guess Dana was talking a lot about this game, and I'm just steamrolling him. It's fine. Dana loves being steamrolled. He's a masochist in that way. But the reason why I picked this game, I'm sorry.
Steamer.
I'm sorry. Do you forgive me a little bit?
You're good. Why'd you pick this game?
The reason why I picked this game was just due to the fact that I heard so many weird things about. First of all, I'm surprised I've even heard of this game. I feel like no one I know has ever heard of or played Rez. I'll just say that
I have heard of this game because I had a issue of GamePro back in the day, which was a magazine for gaming or whatever, and there was a huge ad for this game, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. I just never played it. So I've heard of this game.
Yeah, and I've heard of this game, and I basically only heard that it looked cool, and like I got really conflicting like description. Like I heard people say this game was indescribable. I heard people say this was the best game ever made. Like in the context of like when it was released, et cetera, et cetera. Like I basically knew nothing about this game except that it was good, it was cool, and that like no one could describe it to me. So I was like really excited to finally understand what Rez was. And yeah, I came out of this. I'm not gonna say it's the best game ever made, but I'm gonna say this is one of like the best games I've played in the last 5 years. We played a lot of very good games.
Yeah,
like
I would absolutely agree.
This is a short rail shooter, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not too difficult like some shmups that we've played, and it was enjoyable from front to back. Like as you were saying, this is a musical.
Every inch of this game was fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I feel like they very much intended it to be a compact experience that's replayable and didn't overstay its welcome. So yeah, let's get into the gameplay a little bit. Each stage it's a rail shooter. It plays like a rail shooter. The twist is that everything is sort of musical in nature, sort of choreographed to the music. Enemies come out to the music, and you could shoot them as you please, and it makes those sounds that you're hearing in the background. Each stage consists of 10 sub-stages. When you hit this one item, it brings you to the next stage.
Yeah, there's like a special block or something.
Yeah, it's a special block for like what was the word it used for? Analyzing. Like each time you analyze a certain block of the level, it makes the music more intense, and therefore the level gets more intense with it. Eventually,
it's crazy. Like you're eventually getting to the point where you're just like, like it's like super intense, and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then it eventually gets to a point where you are you're at a boss, and then you beat the boss, and then you go to the next stage. There's only 5 stages, and each one of these stages is not super long. But in that regard, it is pretty similar to other rail shooters. Like we played Panzer Dragoon, Remake. It's very similar in gameplay to those. But where it really excels, we've mentioned the music, but also the visuals. And let me just say,
the visuals in this game aged so fucking fine. Like this game looks good now, in my opinion. Like
let me just say, I feel like it looks better because it's on a Dreamcast. Like this game matches an aesthetic.
It's charming.
This game matches a very unique aesthetic that like I guess you would classify as vaporwave today. And like in fact, I'm really surprised that this game hasn't been like completely like taken by the vaporwave community, because like it matches like the aesthetic of just
it's like geological, not geological.
It's vector art.
Vector art. It reminds me of those 2 DDR characters. They're like made out of springs. Is like if a game aesthetic was made out of like those guys.
It's more. It reminds me of it's like OG Asteroids,
Yeah. With that, and then we didn't even talk about like what you are. I guess you are like you start as like a blob, and then you turn into like a squiggly man, and then you turn into like a all knowing like a super smooth guy, and then after that you're like a Buddhist monk, like sitting Indian style, and then you can like evolve into like a baby, like that's like in an orb of power. Like it's quite. Like the aesthetic is unmatched. Like it's
vector art, and then like the Windows music visualization from like Windows 2000. It's really cool looking, and honestly, it doesn't try to be something that's like super realistic. And I feel like of course, it's like the opposite of realistic, and because of that, the visuals actually age well because it looks like art. It doesn't look like they're trying to mimic something.
It's definitely an art style versus like trying to make like a realistic 3D graphics. You mentioned it's not necessarily close to like real life or anything like that, but there's definitely them trying to emulate real life aspects out of like the vector art and stuff like that. You can kind of make out what they're trying to go for, whether it's like a building. There's almost like a sub theme of
like
I don't want to say like ancient. Yeah, like architecture, like ancient
pyramids,
like ancient. I was gonna say like ancient Egypt and stuff like that, which
it's almost
I
like
think
religious
is a really
in nature.
cool aesthetic.
Like they had like the Taj Mahal type art, and then like pyramids, and then stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like this game as a whole is like trying to tap into like the inner emotions of humanity. And like because of that, like it uses some symbolism to really invoke that message. I mean, there is actually a plot to this game, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But like just going through these levels,
I would say I didn't see anything about a fucking plot. I will say I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I think that the 5th level was my favorite.
Oh, by
I think
far.
The fourth level boss was my favorite. That shit was so fucking cool.
Let's actually get into the bosses for a bit. I think that like obviously like in terms of the things that we're giving this game praise for, we're really talking about the visuals and the music. But I legitimately think this gameplay, especially because it's accessible, it's not like all these different rail shooters that like you literally have no idea what's going on. I thought this is probably the most fun rail shooter I've ever played. And part of that was just these bosses were so unbelievably cool, not just from a visual standpoint, but like actually like facing them and like the different ways that you had to kill these bosses. Like it was just so creative, and I just enjoyed playing every second of this.
I will say the 3rd boss was significantly harder than every other boss in the game. I actually took me 3 attempts to beat it, which is a little annoying versus like everything else I did the first time.
I thought that like some of the weird aspects with some of these bosses was like that trying to, I guess, invoke a 3D plane on what otherwise is a relatively 2D game, like having to turn around and stuff like that. But
yeah, which I think this actually did 3D pretty well. Like I went back into saying like the 4th boss was my favorite. It's basically like a like amalgamation of particles like running through this like space, and you have to like go like 360 angles like behind walls, like shooting at them like da 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 da, like to the music, with the music's getting more and more and more intense as you're like blowing things up, and you're just like fucking jamming out. Like it's. This game is, I don't want to say it's a good, like, it's gameplay or anything like that. Like, this is an experience. Like, this is a game that people need to experience to, like, understand.
There's 2 aspects of that. Like, I feel like one, back in the day, people weren't necessarily looking for experiences. They were looking for good games. Like, you go back in the day and you find it very difficult to find games that are trying to give you, like, a really interesting experience versus, I don't know, like, almost like, oh, this game
like
is
an art piece.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, there aren't that many games that would consider themselves like art pieces, as in like even like Ocarina of Time. Like one of the reasons why people love it so much is like it's a really expansive world, and there's so much you could do, and just like it's so impressive, like even visually, but like at the same time, like it's impressive because of the game versus like I wouldn't. Yeah, Ocarina of Time is like definitely an art piece in a way, but like this is something I could very much more easily see in a gallery versus something like Ocarina of Time.
I guess there's a reason I also like Luminous, because I feel like Luminous borrows a lot from this as far as like the sound effects, like the music, things like that. Maybe even like the aesthetic to some degree. That like the whole experience, other than just the gameplay, is so wonderful that you just keep coming back to it. Like like honestly, I can see myself playing this game again.
And yeah, the thing is, this game does have replayability. In fact, like we both, I'm gonna guarantee we didn't 100% the game on Dreamcast because there's multiple different endings you could get, and it's based on your previous levels of like shoot down rate versus like the amount you've like they're basically, the better you do in a level, the higher score you get, and the more enemies you shoot down, that makes it so you could either get a good ending, bad ending, or a medium ending in a way. And I definitely didn't want to just like go ahead and play this game 5 times in a row for the podcast.
Can I come clean with something?
Yeah, but I may end the podcast early.
I beat the 5th level boss. I did not see the ending though, because after I got the message that said boss like completed, I got hit with a projectile and died.
Okay, well, you most likely didn't actually get a good ending unless you 95% cleared every single other level.
No, I got like 90, but I didn't get 95.
Yeah.
So I actually never saw like an ending, because I died right when the boss died and said like, oh, completed, and then a projectile flew.
Well, let's just say like you would have gotten a bad ending anyway, because like ironically, like every single, like it doesn't matter that you beat the game. They don't give a shit unless you beat the game their way. So the whole game is meant to be a little bit like, because obviously if you get a game that's only like, this game is short. This game's only like an hour if you're okay. If you're really bad at rail shooters, it's maybe like a 2-hour game. But like they obviously can't sell that back in the day and like not get a bunch of really angry people, even though they probably would love this game from start to finish. Honestly, what I kept thinking when I was playing this game, because I had a Dreamcast as a kid, like I would have been blown away by this game. I would have been like, what?
Oh, absolutely.
What? This is insane. I can't believe I'm playing this on my Dreamcast. Because
the aesthetics are good. Like the music is fucking phenomenal. Like so good.
And like it honestly, like I really respect Sega, because we played and both like Panzer Dragoon, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's like another rail shooter made by Sega, and that's on their previous system, the Saturn. This game makes Panzer Dragoon look like absolute dog shit. Like they are so willing to immediately cannibalize their like own like market in a way. And I feel like they only care about improvement. They didn't necessarily care about sales. And I feel like that's why we have games like Rez, which sold very badly. And like, I don't know, no one's ever heard of Rez.
It makes sense that it did. This seems like one of those games, I feel like even most people that would play it nowadays would say like, wow, this is pretty sick. Maybe if they don't like the music.
Yeah, and I think part of that, like this game was given a chance more than other games that didn't sell well. Like there are so many different iterations of Rez. In fact, spoilers, we played another one, right?
Yeah, we played a little bit of the one that was on Steam, which is like a remaster or remake, Rez Infinity, which actually adds some new modes and achievements and things like that to the original game.
But I think, and I wanted to bring this up earlier, but I think that now that we've talked about it, I think that honestly, it just further emphasized how much better this was as a Dreamcast game than like every other.
I will agree.
Like, so the thing is, like Rez Infinite, I think it has a mistake in that it really emphasizes the fact that it's a remake of Rez more than the other features it has. And when you're playing Rez Infinite, like sure, the graphics are a lot more clean and like it's obviously made for a modern audience, like the remake of the original game. But I
don't
feel
think
like
it has the same
oomph.
It reinvents the aesthetic, so to speak. I want to say.
Yeah, it's not exactly 1-to-1, but I feel like the fuzziness in a way and the limitations from the Dreamcast actually improve the graphics in a way because like it makes it feel like it's actually from like a retro futurist like standpoint versus like now you're just like actually trying too hard in a way.
It's kind of insane how like clean the original one it looks though compared to like a lot of their peers from like the same era. Like we can look at like games like Panzer Dragoon that's like, oh, this is super fun, but like look at the original graphics. Like these look like these are ultra pixelated, like hard to read, like stuff like that. Versus like this is like so smooth.
And to be fair, it's like 5 years apart. This is like 2001 actually versus 1996. But,
oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that. My apologies.
No,
but,
I was
still,
going
like,
to mention the comparison, but
the aesthetics of this is just it's unmatched. It looks so good.
It looks so good, and like just back on the remake, like we both played the new level that they made for Rez, right?
Level X or
Area
something?
X is what they call it. And like I feel like what they should have done in Rez Infinite is they should have just scrapped the entire Rez remake and just made an entirely new sequel to Rez in the style of Area X, because Area X, I think, like, I'm not going to say it's like...
It was cool.
It was fucking dope. I'm not going to say makes it worth $15 or however much Rez Infinite costs, because it's only one level and the level lasts about 15 minutes. But I legitimately, like, I think that Area X is the clear evolution in, like, the Rez series in terms of, like, a graphical upgrade. Because, like, the series is very aesthetically based. And
absolutely.
It was a new, modern take on what made Rez cool.
Yeah,
the problem
it changed
is,
the gameplay up a little bit in the sense that you weren't just on a rail. You kind of had free roam to like move around a space, to dictate your speed, to go back and stuff like that. The gameplay is very, very similar, but just like how you dealt with the environments, the way you moved around, and like the different variety of enemies, just like took it to an entirely new level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just wish I had more game regarding Area X. I mean, the thing is, like, if you didn't realize from like the messages on the game itself and in Steam, like Area X was made as a VR. The whole Rez Infinite is a VR experience. I will just say, if I played Rez the original or Area X, I would definitely puke everywhere because this game is too much visual stimulation. But I think that some of the like gameplay changes were definitely to cater to that VR audience.
Yeah, and the music was good. It's another just eye candy with the music being good. I feel it was less aesthetic than the original, because like you said, like the Dreamcast just kind of makes it feel a certain type of way. Versus this is definitely more like catered to like a VR audience and stuff like that. But I would love to play an entire game of just stuff that's level X.
Yeah, Area X.
Area X, City X, whatever.
I mean, on the topic of like us both puking if this game was in VR, I was surprised that like the visuals in this game didn't like give you a little bit of motion sickness. It's pretty intense.
Not so much.
Reminded me of Space Giraffe. No, Space Giraffe, not Giraffe Town. I always get those confused.
Space Giraffe was different just because how everything's coming at you, I guess. I don't know. This one didn't make me sick, though.
I feel like Rez in general, like it's made me really maybe even appreciate the rail shooter genre more than I used to. Like I feel like Panzer Dragoon I liked, but like Rez, I think I legitimately say I enjoy rail shooters. I was more neutral on them before.
They're fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't know any other rail shooters besides Panzer Dragoon. And,
I can't think of any myself, but
yeah. Well, I would like. I feel like some arcade games. I feel like Time Splitters is not a rail shooter.
The Aerosmith game.
Yeah. What?
You never played the Aerosmith game?
I have not. I thought you were saying Time Splitters was the Aerosmith game.
No, there's like an arcade game where you play as Aerosmith and you're like fighting aliens. It's a real shooter.
I guess yeah, like 90% of like the like I have not played the Aerosmith game and now I kind of want to, but like 90% of like the zombie based shooting games are on a rail, so those are all rail shooters and I think they're only okay. I just want to play.
Shoutouts to Typing of the Dead.
Yeah, shoutouts to Typing of the Dead. Shoutouts to the developer for this game. What's his name?
I don't know.
Shoutouts to Tetsuya Mizuguchi, who made so many dope-ass games. He made Sega Rally. He made Space Channel 5. He made Shenmue. He made Rez. He made Luminous.
It just seems like
very
Medios. Like it's so funny. Like every single game was like super like adventurous, you know, kind of like going against the grain for like the traditional, you know, like platformer or whatever. And every single time it was like magical.
I mean, most recent game by the developer who made Rez, Tetris Effect, which is pretty good, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, one of the more underrated games that this person's made, Every Extend Extra Extreme. I played that game for so many hours on 360 when it came out.
I've never played it, but I hear good things about it. So.
I'm not sure if you could actually play it. Like, it's one of those Xbox 360 games that like is only available on the marketplace.
Lost the time. Yeah.
And I enjoyed it a lot, and I have access to it, so maybe I'll play it. But
I'm sure I could find it somehow.
What were you saying?
Final thoughts on Rez? No, I think I was saying that like a lot of the games he created were just quite adventurous. Go against the grain is all I said.
Final thoughts on Rez is that like we have a very good start to 2022. I guess last year we did too, but this game took me off guard. I honestly expected it to be good. I didn't expect like there are people who called this
anything about it.
There are people who called this the best game of all time, and I'm not sure if I would agree with that. But I would say this is easily in the 90 to 100 range. I don't know where it lands.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have like a specific moment you can think of where you're like, all right, I fucking love this?
When the fifth level, which is like a weird introspective look on the world and I guess video games in general, it gets like it gets philosophical. But when like the lyrics drop in the song and I'm like, is this Aesop Rock? You know the guy who makes the song None Shall Pass?
Yeah. Yeah,
it sounds exactly like him. I'm like, oh shit, this game's dope. And anyway,
for me, it was literally like on like the third stage of the first level, like because we mentioned before, like the stages change and the music just gets more intense and the enemies get more intense. Like I'm sitting there fucking bopping, like doom, 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 like shooting things. Like I'm digging this, man.
I was on board nearly immediately playing this game. I was like, I don't know what this is. And then like, I was like, oh, this is a rail shooter. And then like, yeah, around, because I think the first like 2 levels in the first area, it's kind of like very minimalist. And all of a sudden you're
like, what are you doing?
It's like, you know those roller coasters where you like start on a track and then
everything's
it launches
like
you?
Changing around you with like the visuals and you're like, holy fuck. Like,
yeah, it's definitely an experience that you immediately jump into.
It's not distracting either.
Yeah, I love Rez. I really enjoy this game.
I'm very, very happy we played this. Like, this is easily like a top 10 game for me that we've played on the podcast, and it's a random game from the Dreamcast that most people haven't heard of. Like, play Rez. Like, you would probably enjoy it.
At the end of the day, I'm just sad that like more people like. Not only do a lot of people just not know this exists, but like even the people who do know it exists, I feel like no one talks about it. Like, this game is so unbelievably underrated. Maybe it was just made too soon. Like, I see that like contemporary reviews call it too short and things like that. And now we are finally in the age of like people wanting full price short games. And I feel like if it just came out now in a way, it would have been like so much more popular. Obviously, it couldn't. It was a product of its time.
Actually, I disagree because I think it's a product of their time. Like, I think that we liked it very much because of the aesthetic and like you said, it's almost like vaporwave because it's for the Dreamcast.
Yes. Okay. Correction. I feel like if people had the same mentality they had about video games back in the day, it would have done very, very, very well. But I feel like the fact of the matter is, it's a weirdly like it's almost like an indie game, and it's too expensive in a way. Like it doesn't match the aesthetic people expected. and it's a little too pricey for the amount of gameplay it has. But like now honestly, you see people who want games that are short that cost like $30 to $60 because they have too many video games in their backlog, and they're willing to pay for short but really well produced experiences that actually have the same amount of effort as like a AAA title. As like everyone I know does not want an 80-hour experience anymore. They're just sick of it.
No, we just don't have time for it.
Yeah, so
spoilers for next week.
Spoilers, definitely. Yeah, I had to quit my job in order to play this week's podcast game. I hope that Dana's happy, and that's it. I'm finished as a human being.
Yeah, I love this game. Like I this is like has a special place in my heart, and from about my heart, I appreciate you making me play this because this is like a favorite game of mine now.
Friendship. What else is new?
Your face.
Doodles. Look at Doodles.
Isn't that like the perfect little thing?
Yeah, I'm surprised that like Doodles do cats just know it's for them?
Well, yeah.
I guess, but like it's not like covered in catnip and litter. Like, how do they just know?
Well, because it's comfortable and they can lay on it. That's all that matters.
I guess. It's like cats are just like attracted to it, you know? Like if you have like
he's like
couch,
looking around all over the place for that laser.
Well, you could just like set the laser
up.
Well, it's
like, I mean, if you get a couch, you know it's for you, right?
Yeah, but I'm buying the couch. It's not like someone put a couch and I just don't question it and then they use it.
I mean, if you're a cat, maybe you would.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm not.
Can I show you some other cool stuff I got?
Yeah.
I bought that giant.
You bought the Kaido
statue.
You're gonna be very upset when Kaido gets canceled in a couple of chapters. You're gonna
I honestly would not be surprised. This thing is like 20 pounds. This thing is so fucking heavy.
That's how they defeat Kaido. He says a racial slur, and
he says a racial slur, and they just fucking Kaido. This isn't cool. Like his entire like team just leaves him. Like,
yeah.
I would think Big Mom would have a problem with it since she's so like inclusive and stuff.
There's a lot of racists in One Piece. Wasn't Don Flamingo a racist? Well, he's like a noble racist. It's kind of racist.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this down.
But can you actually tell me about this like other live stream fail thing I linked to you about the $25,000 card? I don't really get this.
Wait, which one?
Backyard Breakers pulls a $25,000 card, and then they say it's too expensive. It was for a giveaway, and then they basically reneged on the promise to basically give away this $25,000 card. They deleted it apparently. They were giving away contents from a box to viewers. They pulled a card worth $25,000 and said they would give away something else in return because the thing it's too pricey to give away.
It's fucking scummy.
Yeah. That's the whole reason why people want to be part of these giveaways, to like potentially get something that's worth a lot of money. I totally use this as like a transition into a couple other topics that we have that you want to talk about, I know. But I don't even... What even is there a mirror on this? Because they deleted it. Oh, yeah, okay. People uploaded it to YouTube. All right.
Let me see if I can find...
These are the exact type of people I would see to... Like, that hairdo is exactly the type of people I would not trust.
It's sports stuff. That's the problem. He's like...
Would you trust anyone with that haircut?
No.
I don't even get it. Is he, like, intentionally, like, balding himself in the middle to have that part? Who knows?
So here's the problem. Like, are you aware what breaking means?
No.
Breaking is basically a term in the trading card community where people buy... packs from an open box. It's typically random everyday packs you buy individual of from wherever your source isn't going to have any seeded pull rate or anything like that. They're just random ass packs. But when you have a sealed booster box of something, there's typically a guaranteed seeded amount of good cards. So people will do booster breaks and you can buy like 2-3 packs for it and they'll open it live and then send you like all the hits or something like that. And that's what they were doing here. Like someone paid for this pack. Like someone paid money to have this pack opened for them. And they're like, oh, we're not going to give it to you.
That sounds like nearly illegal. I bet like
yeah, no,
the thing is this is probably done on such a small scale that like, and also the fact of the matter is like $25,000 is more than small claims court. I'm pretty sure. So like they would have to get like a team of lawyers to actually like get this resolved.
So
and I feel like most people involved in this wouldn't do that.
It's a legal gray area. Like it's technically considered games of chance. So like it's in this gray area where it's technically not allowed, but it is. So it's kind of like going to like the police and saying like, oh, my drug dealer stole, like, oh, my customer stole money, I'm a drug dealer, like stuff like that. Like you're not gonna really self-incriminate yourself.
I don't get how it's really illegal though, because like people buy and sell cards. It's like gambling in a way, but like if you just bought these packs, what's stopping a normal person from buying these packs? Just like you have to buy booster set, and that's like, worth a lot of money.
It's a thought that's for yourself though. It's like it's games of chance though. And maybe it's just like Facebook and like eBay and like online TOS. Like most websites will disallow you from doing this. I'm not sure the form in which they are doing this. They're literally called backyard breaks. Like that's their whole spiel, is that they break cards to, you buy packs and then they break them and sell them and stuff like that because you can make a decent amount of profit.
Yeah, I just feel like if it's something against TOS, I would rather win $25,000 and break Facebook's TOS or Twitter's TOS than the opposite. I don't know. You're the one who was banned from Twitter, so maybe you think that your Twitter account's worth more than $25,000. I don't know. How much would you pay to get, like, hypothetically, if they had a certain amount to get you unbanned from Twitter, otherwise you would be banned from Twitter forever, how much would you actually pay to realistically get your account back?
To be honest, nothing. Now, my World of Warcraft account, on the other hand, I would pay.
You've offered like $10,000.
Yeah, I would. I would donate $10,000 to charity easily to get my account back.
Not to Blizzard.
No, these guys are fucking scumbags though. I would absolutely like to look into more research about this because this is the first time I'm hearing it.
I sent it to you a couple days ago. How dare you?
People have done breaks in the past where like for example, Pokemon, they did a booster break. It was like base set, and it ended up being an air. So there's like a 1 in like 100,000 box chance of it being like an error box, and they opened it and it was an error box, which makes it worth like 50 times the price. As soon as it was opened live on the break, the guy went, "Hey, I'm gonna refund everybody. This is an error box." Which I think is a different situation than just only because I opened a specific card, I'm not going to give it out,
I feel like that's genuinely, it's in the same ballpark. I think that, like, even the act of refunding, it's a little bit more goodwill. However, it's still relatively scummy, and that, like, the whole point of doing things like this and leaving it up to chance is, in case of an ultra rare scenario, you make the big bucks versus your tiny little bet.
I guess the difference is that, like, this is something that's like inherently in something that you can get versus like an error box that's like not something that's supposed to happen.
I don't know. I feel like if you're purchasing a small chance at a big prize, like if there is such an astronomically low odd that it's an even bigger prize, the same concept still applies. You still bought into that hoping to get something very large.
Yeah. Well, basically, these guys will never, ever, 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 ever be able to do this ever again because no one's ever going to trust them. So this is what happens.
I would never trust anyone with that haircut. But I mean, it makes sense that, like, people of the same cloth, I guess. You're the one who knows more about the situation, but let's actually get into the big news. Let's get into the polls. Because, of course, we were so successful for some reason, we had our most popular clip of all time. Not of all time. We had our most popular clip in the past couple months. And, of course, it was clickbaiting large streamers. So now we got to clickbait the large YouTubers. What happened in the world of the polls?
I'm actually going to start it as twofold. For one, I guess it's more Pokemon-related news. I went back to work, and I opened one pack, my very first pack, while back at work, and I pulled...
a gun.
A gun. No, it's a Umbreon VMAX. It's a $200 card.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So this is
what PSA is that right in your hand?
This is probably a 9. It's too off center to get a 10, but I'm not gonna grade it. This is like just going in personal collection. It was very cool. It's just like about one pack after being out of work for like 3 weeks. Due to COVID, and I pulled a $200 card, so it felt pretty good.
And yet, if I was like, I did my first scratch off after a while, and I won $30. You'd be like, wow, a little bit into gambling, huh? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally gambling for children. Speaking of scratch off tickets, I did do 5 scratch off tickets. My mom gave me them for Christmas, and I didn't get anything.
Yeah, that's how scratch offs go. I'm still up. I think I won like $100 on my first or second scratch off ever, and I've lost more money since then, but I do it like once every couple of years. So right now I'm still ahead. Pretty badass. I know.
My mom likes to get all of us like 5 scratch off tickets for Christmas. So.
All right, so getting back into it, Jake Paul did a bunch of scratch offs.
Yeah. So this is actually like a huge story. So those who don't know,
Jake or Logan?
Paul. I was literally just thinking about that in my head.
I think it's Logan actually.
Like, to me, they're like one person. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Logan Paul.
Logan's the Pokemon guy. He was the Charizard guy. I genuinely don't know enough about either of them to make the difference.
Okay, so basically what happened was Logan Paul spent $3.5 million on a sealed case of base set boosters for Pokemon, first ed packs. What that means is that this is like a sealed case from the factory when it was printed in like 1998. There's literally only one other in existence right now, which is currently owned by a Charizard guy, Gary. He's a big guy in the Pokemon scene. He's like every Charizard PSA 10 and stuff like that. He's a scumbag, but I'm not going to get into it right here.
You're
and
just
it
jealous.
Turned out, yeah, no, he like intentionally damages cards when he gets influencers to like open product for him, so it doesn't degrade his cards. But that's besides the point. Lo and behold, the box ended up being fake when they opened it to confirmed. The problem is that everybody knew it was fake like months before this all went down.
What, just due to the fact that there isn't enough supply?
No, it's so there's a million telltale signs looking at the box, and when you trace it back to where its origins came from, it was super obvious.
So you mean by box like an actual cardboard box like you'd receive an Amazon package in, right?
Correct,
Not like each individual card.
Correct, like the cardboard box. Like when I say sealed case, this is like a sealed box of 6 booster boxes, or it might be 8. I forget how they used to do it right now. And this was sealed and tape and factory sealed. For one, the tape was all fucked up. The label had like the wrong SKU for the item on it. It was in a weird font. It looked too new. You could actually trace the box back to a sale, I believe, sometime last year, which some guy posted on eBay, and everyone said it looked super sketchy, so no one bought it. And then someone bought it for $60,000 just because, I could take a chance on a base set booster box, in which he sold it to someone else, who ended up selling it to Logan Paul.
So even in this ridiculous scenario where it's like most likely fake, I feel like there has to be some criminal liability in like the fact that someone sold him a faulty product. And sure, he was an idiot for spending $3.5 million, but like he was sold a product that was deemed real. Like where does the fault entirely lie here?
So the person he bought it from went with him to open it. So here's the problem. Here's the breakdown with the whole entire issue. There's a problem with influencers getting into these hobbies, and the people that they quote unquote go to that are say they're experts are not really experts and have no stake in the game at all whatsoever. These are just yes men who say like, oh yeah, this is authenticated, this is that, who don't know anything about it, and people like Logan Paul unfortunately get duped. This really, really sucks because this was going to be like a historic thing, and it ended up being filled with G.I. Joe cards.
I mean, are they worth a lot? Did he get the G.I. Joe cards rated?
No, they're fucking useless, and it really, really sucks.
You think that now, but what is it? What's that one series? Cobra Ken. Is that a thing?
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai. Yeah.
Cobra Ken.
I don't know. I don't know anything about G.I. Joe. Nor does anyone else. That's why this is not worth a lot of money. But Cobra Kai, it's gonna get super popular, and then they got Shang-Chi.
I had G.I. Joe toys as a kid.
Shang-Chi. Is that it?
I don't fucking know. I think that's Marvel.
Okay. Well, anyway, what I'm trying to say is that he may have gotten the investment of the century. $3.5 million is going to be cheap in the grand scheme of things.
I don't think so.
That's my
really
take on
sucks. This. I don't think that those cards are going to be worth fucking anything. And then it was filled like a bunch of fake Pokemon cards. But it's like I said, at like the community, every single post, everywhere you looked on like the Pokemon groups and stuff like that, we're all talking about how everyone knew it was fake. But prior to this happening, so it's going to be interesting to see like how he gets his money back, if he can, where the buck stops or whatever.
Well, he spent $3.5 million, and I think that's an alarming. So obviously some of the actual price is tied to the perceived value of the cards, right? It can't all be labor costs.
It has nothing to do with the price of the cards. You could open up every box, and every single box has the best cards possible, and you would not make your money back.
Where does the $3.5 million come from?
It's because it's a sealed case. Those don't exist.
No, but like what is the itemization of the $3.5 million to say like why? How is their labor worth $3.5 million? What is that figure tied to?
So it's just the value of a first edition booster box. So it's like a sealed booster box itself is worth more than the contents of it, because you can get the cards from people who have opened stuff and graded them and stuff like that. You cannot get a sealed, factory sealed version of this. They don't exist anymore.
I thought it was that he spent $3.5 million on grading. He spent $3.5 million on the box.
On the box.
Okay, I completely misread that. Oops. That's a good podcast for you.
Nothing was graded at all whatsoever. This is like a sealed case, like just a box.
Oh, okay.
You may have looked into how he got it authenticated.
Okay, I think that was it.
And basically, he went to some Chicago service, and they like, yeah, authenticated is real. It's some random ass company no one's ever heard of. Once again, a bunch of yes men, a bunch of people with no stake in the game, saying they know things about things when they really, really don't. You know, like these companies have been quoted in the past year saying, I don't know shit about Pokemon, yet they're the people that, you know, authenticate this for Logan Paul. Yeah, it really sucks, and I'd be interested to see how this ends up playing out, if he gets his money back or what, but...
I know you have skin in the game, but I just find this hilarious, so I don't really think it sucks. Then again, if I lost $3.5 million, I probably would think that sucks too, so... I reap what I sow. When I get $3.5 million and I, spend it all on...
I'm just trying to think of a, comparison. Like, this is like the ultimate collectible. This is like the holy grail of collectibles in the hobby. Like,
have you been watching a lot of Pawn Stars on recommended YouTube videos?
No, fuck Pawn Stars.
I don't... So I guess I have been watching a little too much because like my recommended, I don't even, one day, you know, YouTube is like, you know what, today we're going to recommend only Pawn Star related content on every video you watch. Like, I wasn't even watching anything related to Pawn.
Are you streaming it on Twitch?
No, I wasn't. Yeah, everyone's just streaming Pawn Stars now. I know Gordon Ramsay says it's actually fine or whatever. That's a whole different ballgame.
He actually didn't say it was fine.
Well, no, the DMCA that Hassan got was fake apparently, and he just came back to it. So he didn't say, he said it wasn't fine, but he's not actively going against people. What I'm trying to say is that like I've been watching too much Pawn Stars, and like I guess I watched like 7 videos in a row. They're like top 10 holy grails on Pawn Stars. So yeah, you saying this is the holy grail of Pokemon? It's like, yep, you are Mr. Pawn, Mr. Star.
No, I guess it's mostly I hate Pawn Stars because they like it's like fake as shit.
It's obviously fake as. I feel like I feel like no one could actually watch it and think it's real. Like no one's gonna come in and be like,
"Are you kidding me? Like, do you understand what country we are in and how stupid fucking people
are?" This is actually skin tissue from Jesus Christ himself. This has been passed along through 95 generations of my family, and I want to sell it for $5,000 so I can get a vacation for my kids. This
is King Tut's foreskin.
Yeah, it's
cherry
these people
flavored.
Wouldn't be selling it, especially at the low prices. It's like this patch, only 3 of them exist. And it said that if you own this patch, it blesses your family. This is a family heirloom. My father said, never sell this to anyone ever.
Fuck about that, but random ass boomers, like, people give a shit about Pokemon.
But like 4 people give a shit about Pokemon, and they all happen to have $10 million. That's why they're all so much money.
Well, I was about to rip my shirt off just in anger, but I didn't.
Anyone who plays Pokemon probably has some crimes to solve. That's right. I'm transitioning into our Pokemon Go related scenario. Have you heard about this?
This is actually hysterical once you get into like the court documents of like the whole case. So basically what happened was that 2 police officers were caught playing Pokemon Go like on the clock. I'm not sure if there was like a crime in
there was a the reason why they got in trouble and eventually got fired was because they failed to respond to a robbery in progress. They were catching a Snorlax.
Pokemon Go.
not just playing Pokemon Go. The court document said like they had a one in a lifetime opportunity to catch a Snorlax.
It's not even that rare. Like I can find a Snorlax like today.
You better convince the jury that it's rare when you're not solving a robbery in order to get your Snorlax. That better be the best EVs on a Snorlax I've ever seen, you know?
IVs, but yeah.
I thought EV training was a thing.
That's for the video games. IV is Pokemon Go.
IV is a type poison. But continue.
What? IV? What?
Poison
intravenous?
IV. Dumb. It was a dumb joke. Don't worry about it.
Oh my god, I want to die. In a video game.
Die?
But just reading... Stop. Fucking just reading like the court documents like briefly, just the terminology they use to have to like explain like these ultra nerdy concepts to like jurors and stuff like that is absolutely hilarious. Like trying to explain to them like what rarity means, what Pokemon are and stuff like that. And I feel like that's like half of like cases involving either entertainment or like digital things is just like explaining to like boomers that like what the fuck any of this is, because how could they ever know, you know?
Yeah, it's like I want to know the age of these I want to know the age of everyone involved, because I feel like that's necessary to like even find out how hilarious this is. Like if this is like a 65-year-old judge and like a 25-year-old guy, that's hilarious. But it's also equally hilarious if this is like a 45-year-old police officer who just got into Pokemon Go and he's booming his way. I mean, I feel like it almost has to be someone older.
That makes a lot more sense because they're like, oh, I have the ultra rare Snorlax when that's not really that rare.
Yeah, I would think that's like something that like a boomer who's happened to get into Pokemon Go would like say. It's like, oh, this
to be
this
fair, a lot of older people. A lot of older people have actually gotten to Pokemon Go because it's like really good exercise.
It's a popular game.
Well, it
transcends all ages.
Yeah, it definitely does. A lot of parents are like super into it even more than their kids because they use it as a way to like hang out with their kids. You like walk around. It has like points of interest, and when you click on it, it'll say like a blurb around a certain thing, like this was a lamppost created in 1908 to commemorate blah blah blah, like that kind of stuff, and it's kind of cool. But yeah, no, it's absolutely hysterical. I want to look into the case a little bit more to see like how old they are and things like that. So.
I'm not sure if that information is public.
We'll have to catch up on that when it finishes out.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's pretty much all the controversy that we have for this week. There can't be anything else, right?
There's like something tangential to Blizzard as usual.
Okay, let me hear it.
Okay, so LEGO has basically they're reevaluating their partnership with Blizzard due to the allegations and stuff like that, and there was supposed to be an Overwatch 2 line of Legos that actually looks super fucking dope coming out.
How much? Like $400 for a set?
Let me tell you, people say this about Lego. Lego's gotten so much cheaper for these awesome fucking sets. I work at a mall. Every time I see full-grown adults come in with these giant Lego sets, it's like, yeah, this is like $150 for like this giant ass thing.
I mean, to be fair, I think that everyone that complains about Lego prices literally never bought Lego. Like, they were kids, and their parents bought Legos.
Exactly.
They could have been more expensive, and now they're cheaper, and we wouldn't know the difference. The only thing I'm referencing is like, oh, I might look into that Lego NES, and it was like $230, and I'm like, oh, this is not happening.
That's cool. It's cool, though.
It is cool, but like, it's not $230 cool. I'll say that much.
But to go back to the topic at hand, so yeah, it may be delayed or not come out at all, because like they said, they're reevaluating their relationship with Blizzard. As they are strenuously dealing with a controversy, as we have stated multiple times. And we'll see.
So I think maybe delayed is an understatement. It's almost definitely delayed because it was supposed to come out February 1st and they paused production.
Oh, no, it's absolutely delayed. Is it going to be delayed or permanently halted is the question.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, as far as I guess they have to do it, but it's not like the figurine sexually assaulted anyone, right?
No, but at the same time, it's also like, who the fuck cares about Overwatch? So it's like, maybe it's like...
I feel like Overwatch 2 still has a lot of people that really want to... I still feel like people... like there's more people who at this point are pissed that Overwatch 2 isn't coming out, but there's still a ton of people who would be very excited to play it, regardless of how Blizzard is as a company, which is a terrible company. Let's just say that.
I'm not even talking about that. I just... like, Overwatch is, like, as far as I'm considering, a dead license.
XQC still has OW in his name, so it can't be dead.
He doesn't.
He doesn't? He's just XQC now?
Yeah, he hasn't had that in his name for like 2 years.
Twitch.tv/XQCOW. That's his name.
This thing just says XQC, though. That might just be his... Wait, what the fuck? I guess I was wrong.
Yeah. I'm the biggest XQC fan on the planet. That's how
I don't
it
think
is.
he's played Overwatch in like 5 years.
It's still in his name, so it's relevant. It's like...
You're relevant.
It's like if your name was like Sphinctus HS, that would mean Hearthstone's not dead. Actually, Hearthstone isn't dead. Hearthstone's gonna be living till the end of time, basically.
When was the last time you played Hearthstone?
I actively made I would be playing Hearthstone every single day if I didn't actively make myself stop playing it, because it was just like a big waste of my own time. So that's an unfair comparison, because it's not like I don't want to play Hearthstone. I have to actively make myself not, because I gotta read, and then I don't read because I just like somehow I don't understand. I'm so good at wasting time. It's amazing. I honestly
I'm the same way.
It's
I end up playing
impressive.
MapleStory or just CSGO, which in CSGO I'm top 950 world. I'm kind of a big deal
it's
for surfing.
There's no point in playing the podcast game when you could just be getting one level in CSGO, going from level 965 to 966. That's very important. Yep, dude. Becoming a productive member of this podcast, playing the podcast game, and making it so we can have productive conversation. That's not important anymore.
I think we've had this conversation about fuck you, okay? I think we had this conversation before about like wasting time or like what's considered like bettering yourself or whatever. And it's like I realize like gaming in general just makes me very, very happy. So it's like, yeah, maybe I'm not like bettering myself like career wise or on a personal level, but I very much so enjoy gaming. So
I mean, yeah, the thing is, like, obviously I don't think gaming is a waste of time, or else I would not have a gaming podcast. That's kind of a silly silly scenario. But there's like gaming, and then like there's, imagine if instead of reading,
then there's gaming.
Yeah, there's gaming, and then there's like me screaming gaming while drinking a Monster. I don't even know what that means, but like there's like, I feel like gaming is different than a lot of other mediums in that with a book, with a movie, you generally get the experience and then you like find new experiences to help make you grow, versus like you could play the same game every single day for the rest of your life. You could technically watch the same movie, you could technically read the same book every single day for the rest of your life, but it's a significantly less fulfilling experience. Like some games, like they are designed that you only play them. For me, it's
fulfilling though.
No, and I'm not saying it's not fulfilling. I genuinely think that like in some games, like the fulfilling nature of them only comes out after hour 200, after hour 300, and I think that's great. But like I just feel that like with the gaming, I want to have all these different experiences, and I feel like for the longest time, one of the reasons why we started this podcast in the first place, I think both of us just like we saw our backlog of games getting higher and higher and larger and larger.
It's like 40 and 50 games because we play like the same game every day.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I want to play these games, but like I just and it's like you want to play these games, then the window of opportunity to actually have a legitimate conversation about them like goes out the window, because it's like, yeah, no one cares about what like Firewatch anymore, like any of these like games that used to be popular, and I just want to play the games.
The fuck is Firewatch?
Firewatch was it was like a RPG. It's on my list. Maybe I'll pick it in 2022. Who knows?
Maybe.
Find out next time. Is it Firewatch? It's probably not, because it's Dana's choice.
Is
Dana
going
to pick Firewatch? Probably not, because I already know what he picked, and it's not Firewatch. But who knows?
Well, you're not supposed to let them know. It's supposed to be a secret.
I'm supposed to not let them know that it's not Firewatch. Is that a spoiler? If someone was like, oh, I saw the new Marvel movie. It's like, oh, how? Don't spoil it for me. It's like, oh, it wasn't Citizen Kane. Oh no, actually, I guess that's saying it's bad. It was nothing like Schindler's List. It's like, oh, is that a spoiler? It's like
I just think of like there's like one fan out there of us that you see that one picture from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia of the guy like crossing things out, like trying to find like the source. He's like, what game are they gonna play?
Oh, you mean Charlie with Pepe Sylvia?
Yeah.
Yes. So it is definitely a spoiler to say that Dana didn't pick Firewatch, because
someone's crossing it off their list to figure out what
crossing it off their list. I mean, we'll just have to see at this point. We'll have to. I don't want them to like get too many hints at this point, so I think we have to end it here before they realize by deduction what you picked from those three sentences. See ya.